It was a gorgeous sunset. Cherise sat wrapped in a light fleece robe and nothing else. The cool night air, pleasant and not cold, watching the cerulean blue in the sky submit to brilliant vermilion and then fade to black. She did not move. Maybe if she stayed right here with a hot cup of coffee heavily infused with sugar and vanilla, let the wind chimes and star-studded night sky remind her of how beautiful the world was, then it would all be all right again. There would be no vampire in desperate need of rescue that she was halfway bonded to. There'd be no tenacious need to have him inside her. There'd be no messages from home in France that she had to come back and live her birthright. Just simple beauty and an evening off. A few amusing television shows, cats and skunks to feed, and a box of chocolate chip ice cream waiting for her spoon. Of course not. The vampire was preparing to leave, permanently, and she had to go stop him. She had to do the one thing she thought she would never do: ask a vampire to stay with her. But this one would die without her. So, in that way, she was attending to her duties as a bridge between the races. An empath and seer, who now knew, without doubt, she would always do her duty. It wasn't just that it was innate. Her heart would not let her abandon someone in need. She'd journeyed halfway around this big world to find out that she could never journey far enough. Well, okay then, David Patrick. No, Cov needed her like no one else she'd ever known, and it seemed she needed him too. It would be an interesting month. A black cat crawled into her lap and she cradled it in. Just a few moments, Bette. Mama has to go save a vampire. You know, one with teeth like you. She paused and sighed. And the most amazing derrière. No, mon petit chat. Not as good as yours, of course, but magnifique aussi. I wish it were not so, but oh, it is. She realized her English had suffered since he came to town, even though he had almost no accent himself and rarely used French words. He was undoing her hard-won, peaceful life, one day at a time. So, it was dark now and he would be up. It was time to go. She gently set the cat on the ground and unfurled her legs, slowly making her way back to the cabin. Dressing quickly, snagging her loose curls into a clip, she drove out to the mansion. The moon was beginning to wane now, still nearly full, still bright, and cast long, complicated shadows on the lawn and house. No lights were on that she could see, and when she knocked on the door, no one answered. She lowered her head and closed her eyes, concentrated. Yes, he was there. Basement, probably. When she tried the door, it wasn't locked, so she went into the darkened interior. Enough moonlight slipped through the large windows and showed her a monochrome path to a door that obviously led down. It was open, and she heard some rustling down there, so she quietly stepped to the point where she could see around the stairwell. A weak light illuminated him, his back to her as she came on down to the basement floor. He didn't turn around, and it was a good thing. He was naked, wet, his hair dripping. Must have just come from the shower. He knew she was there. "What are you doing here?" he asked, continuing what he was doing, hidden behind his large body. Cherise shook her head. God, she was distracted. We need to talk." "We've said everything," he told her, and then turned around. Yeah, he was as magnificent as she knew he would be. Perfect, except for some severe scarring on his chest and legs that begged for explanation. Vampires healed from wounds like that. His chest was wide, and every inch of him muscled and beautifully defined. He'd been thin when he first came to her, but her blood had brought him back to health quickly. The mass quantities of calories had done the rest. He was stunning. Cherise could only stare and let her mind wander unbidden to what it would feel like to have that body covering hers.